Hi virtual world, it's Chris Pilcher, checking in from the Downtown Players Club, currently in my living space, which is a really small part of the studio. All of the rest of that, which you might be able to see, is workspace behind you. Got a great view of Broad Street here too. The last few weeks at Midtown Players Club have been kind of crazy. If you've watched our previous segments, you've seen us going through all sorts of struggles trying to build out the space, finally having our grand opening, deciding how the space best works for our model. We're going to have a little recap of what's happened over the last few weeks. Everybody sit back because it's time for story time. So one of our artists, Bretonius, is a new media and glitch artist. You might have seen his work here in the video. It's really brightly lit with LEDs, and he has a crazy video projection on one of the walls. Setting up projectors can sometimes be the most difficult part of getting a show going, especially if you have a limited amount of space in which to put the projector. Every projector has a different throw distance and a different luminosity. For some of the higher end projectors, it can get into the tens of thousands of dollars. What we used for Bretonius's installation was an Epson 4K projector. You can pick one up for like under $1,000. It's just bright enough for the space. It had the perfect throw for the wall. When I was up on the ladder, I had to kind of rig some points to make sure that this projector wasn't going to fall on anybody's head. You can't very well put a projector on the ground because it could get drink spilled on it, somebody might kick it, and it's an expensive and sensitive piece of equipment. The best option is always to hang it from the air. That way, patrons can walk through and view the projection without obstructing the view for other people as well. It minimizes the shadows. Lighting is one of the most important parts of any art exhibition, in my opinion. Most galleries that you walk into will have simple track lighting, a spot on each piece. It's kind of a little boring. I think especially with larger installations that the lighting makes all the difference. If you could see Tim Kent's work, which were the really bright colored squares, those had direct gallery lighting because it could play with the shadows and reflect that bright light back into the mirror. Whereas Claire Carswell's installation with the strings on the mirrors really played with the Fresnel lights. It was a large installation, so I was able to give it a really wide flood, and then the light bounced the reflections back onto the floor for installation, which made it even more dynamic. That's something to keep in mind if you're planning an exhibition of your own. Lighting's super important, and you don't have to have expensive equipment to do it either. There's all sorts of ways to make it happen. For a good portion of this segment, you've watched us struggle to build these gallery walls in the middle of this gymnasium. It was a little bit crazier, and we might could have approached it in a simpler manner, but I think our end result looked really professional, really filled it out. The walls themselves were given to us by a place called the Life Cycle Building Center. It's a local nonprofit that salvages construction supplies and materials from buildings that are being torn down or surplus materials from projects and releases it back to the community at a discounted price. There are places like this all over the country, so there might be one near you. It's something to look into, especially if you're doing artistic things. It's a good way to get cheap materials. So the nice people over at Life Cycle kindly gave us an entire truckload of these walls. They were originally constructed for a Jaguar showcase at the Georgia World Congress Center for a car show. So they were just sitting in a crate upstairs. Life Cycle really had no use for them. They were having a hard time selling them, and they kindly donated them to us to use for gallery walls. Since they were already prefabricated, we had to kind of fit them in the space like a game of Tetris. That's what made it difficult for Miranda to find the studs and hang the pieces properly. She was able to get around that because Miranda's brilliant. That's her job. That's what she does. We're all professionals here. Remember that all of these videos are in 360-degree VR. You can actually spin the video around and look behind you. As the videos progressing through the space, be sure to check out all of the changes that we made since the last time. We checked in. Arbitrary Living and IS Studio have set up a pop-up retail space in the front that is selling vintage goods, handmade goods from local artists, and screen printed materials, t-shirts, prints, things of that nature. Right next to that, in the hallway, we have two murals, one by Still Wills. So Still Wills is a group of graffiti writers that have sent out merch to graffiti writers all over the world, like some of the best that exist, and had them make their mark on these materials. They began with little model train cars, and for our show in particular, which will be more towards the end of the Midtown Players Club project, they're going to have a graffiti-inspired fashion show. So all of the clothing will be designed and decorated by some of the best graffiti artists alive. You can see in this week's segment we have access to an outdoor space at 15th and Peachtree behind those giant Midtown letters. It's a really cool circular lawn. It's kind of oddly placed right in the middle of this mall area, this mall courtyard, but it's a really high traffic area. And we're planning on curating all sorts of performances and bands out in that space and having it completely free and open to the public. Be sure to check back with us over the coming months for all of the different performances we have coming up. In particular, in the coming weeks, we have the Nakatani Gong Orchestra, straight from Japan. That's going to be a full orchestral gong arrangement. It's going to be pretty impressive, I think, especially in 360. We have a few dance performances, fashion shows, and a bunch of really awesome bands coming in. Don't forget to check in with us every Monday for a new segment of How to Be a Player in Atlanta. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe, share it with your friends, and view it as many times as possible.